guys, and welcome back to another episode of Real Food Live. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Alina and I'm a holistic nutritionist, also your lead editor here at the Hearty Soul, and I'm going to be hosting today's show. Now, if you've been watching for a little while, you may realize that Talia is not here right now. She usually hosts the show. She is unfortunately no longer able to do this show, but we want to thank her so much because she did an amazing job and we wish her all the best. So you're going to see me in the meantime filling in for a couple of weeks. Get used to this face. So yeah, let's get started. We are going to have Marianne doing comments as usual behind the scenes. So if you have questions about, the nutrition or substitutes of the ingredients, just write them in and she will read them out to me. Thank you. Okay, cool. So today what we are going to be making is maple zucchini bread. So you know what this recipe is actually perfect for? This is for one of those mornings or those 3 p.m. snack times when you really are craving like that healthy baked treat. You're like looking at the apple and maybe those almonds or celery sticks and you're like, I know I should, but all I really want is that muffin. I just want like a nice muffin or like a warm banana bread, and you have that little craving. This is perfect for that time. You can allow yourself to indulge a little in this because it is much healthier than what you're going to get from like a coffee shop downstairs. So in particular, this recipe is gluten-free. It is also 100% dairy-free. It's also vegan, or actually you can make it vegan because we are using eggs, but I'm going to show you how to do a replacement for eggs if you don't have animal products or you're sensitive to eggs. And there's one more thing. This recipe is actually grain-free. So that means there's absolutely no grains used. It's not even like we're using gluten-free grains. There's no grains whatsoever. So you may actually be wondering, Alina, how the heck are you actually going to make a bread? It sounds like there's no ingredients in this recipe. Are you just mixing a zucchini and banana and voila? No, we are actually going to be using some other grain-free flours, coconut flour and almond flour, which I'll talk a little bit more about. But you know what? This is great for anyone who has a leaky gut or maybe just some digestive issues. You suffer a lot from like gas and bloating. Anyone who's has a bit of like an autoimmune condition as well and trying to eat a bit more paleo. This is also beneficial for that because coconut flour is very it's non-irritating to the gut. So it's usually a safe option for a lot of people. Okay, I have talked a lot about this. Now we're actually going to dig in and get started. So on the right-hand side over here, we do have our wet ingredients. And on the left-hand side, we have the dry ingredients. The zucchini is in the wrong spot. That should be, there we go, in the wet ingredients pile. So we're going to start off with a banana. Now, with this banana, you may notice that it is brown. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. Especially for baking, what you want is the banana to be ripe. Usually it has a lot of spots on it because the riper it is, the better it's going to be for baking. It's going to be like sweeter and more moist in your baking. Now, the second it is ripe, you do want to try and put it in the fridge if you're trying to bake tomorrow, which is exactly what I did. I saw it spotting yesterday. I put it in the fridge and then it will become more brown or black. Don't worry, that's okay. It'll stay fine. So what we're going to do now is peel this banana. It's okay if there's a few spots on there. I'm going to take those out. Okay, so let's take a couple of these spots out, and that's fine. So what I like about bananas, guys, is that they lend a lot of sweetness to a baking recipe, a lot of moisture without the need for added sweeteners, right? And the great thing is this comes with fiber, so you're not only getting the sweetness, you are also getting a lot of fiber, yeah, which is great for your gut health. There's a lot of potassium in bananas, so that is excellent for our nervous. You know what? Did not think this through. There we go. We're going to mash it like this, so all you need is a fork. You're just going to mash away at it. It doesn't need to be like a paste. You just need a rough general consistency. So yeah, bananas. By the way, you can switch out. I learned this recently. You can switch out a whole egg with a banana too sometimes if you want. If you don't want to use eggs, you can just add in an extra banana. Okay, that looks like it's good enough. It is mashed. So next what we're going to do is we're going to add in our grated zucchini. So I have here a whole zucchini. So that was a whole banana. You have a zucchini. You're just going to plop that in there. I'm going to finish grating that one as well just to show you how it's done. So bring that over here. Now zucchini, a lot of people don't realize, is also pretty high in vitamin C. And as we know, vitamin C is not only good for our immune health, but it's also amazing for your skin. It helps the formation of collagen, which is the protein in your hair and your skin and your nails. So gotta love the vitamin C. This also has a lot of vitamin A in it, which is great for your vision. Of course, we have the fiber. And you may notice zucchini is actually really great in baked goods. You may have seen like chocolate zucchini muffins out in like cafes and coffee stores. And yeah, used in breads like these as well. So there we go. That's all you need to do. You can throw off the end here. And you don't need to get rid of the peel. I know some people think they need to get rid of it. That's where a lot of the nutrients lie, within the skin, right underneath the skin as well. Okay. I think I have made a bit of a mess here, but that is fine. I'm going to rinse off my hands for a second. Okay, so now that we have the zucchini and the banana in there, what you want next is to add in eggs. So these are 2 eggs, and I will make that a bit cleaner. Here's a trick I learned with eggs recently, guys. So when you're baking, you don't want the eggs to be cold right out of the fridge. Because if you're gonna do that and then put it into your baking mix, it's gonna throw off the baking times. The recipe may say, hey, it's for an hour, but if you use really, really cold eggs and you add them in, that might turn into like an hour 15. So just make sure you use room temperature eggs. Okay, so we've whisked 2 eggs and we are mixing it together right now. There we go. I'm trying to put that there in the middle. I know I'm making this a little bit messy perhaps. Okay. Next, we're just gonna add in some maple syrup. This is a 1/4 cup maple syrup, which I know it looks like a little bit right now, but if you think about it, a 1/4 cup of maple syrup is being used for an entire loaf of bread to just add a hint of sweetness. So it's not that much at all. It's so much better than using white or brown sugar. There's so many trace minerals in here. There's like magnesium in here. You have some electrolytes. So it is very good for you. And I am definitely a fan of maple syrup because we're in Canada. And that's the stereotype. So it's true. We do like maple syrup. Last year's going to add in a teaspoon of olive oil just to help smooth this out a little bit more. So that is all of our wet ingredients there. Now all we're going to do is mix, mix, mix. It is going to be a little bit watery right now, but that's okay. That's where the dry ingredients come in. Okay, so I'm going to put this off to the side right now, the back. And next we're going to move on to the dry ingredients. And I have made a little bit of a mess here, but that's okay. Okay, so with the dry ingredients, guys, like I said, the main flours that we are using are coconut and almond. So what I love about these 2 flours, so we're using 1 cup of almond meal and we're using 1/2 cup of coconut flour. What I love about both of these is that they are much higher in protein. So I was surprised to learn that almond flour has 24 grams of sugar in 1 cup. So this right here is like half a chicken breast, I believe, in protein, maybe a little bit more. So it's pretty good for a flour that you're baking with. And almond flour is full of vitamin E, and vitamin E is amazing for our hormonal health, for our hair, skin, and nails. So I'm going to use a new fork, actually. So yeah, almond flour is amazing for your hair, skin, and nails. This bread, I think, is actually pretty good for anyone who's looking to improve their skin health overall and hormonal health. Okay, so we just mix those 2 together a bit. Coconut flour also has a lot of fiber, which is great. Also amazing for gut health. Now, what we're going to do next is add in a little bit of baking soda. Of course, we always need that to help things rise. We're going to add in a bit of sea salt. Again, sea salt, or it can be Himalayan pink salt. Doesn't matter that much. They both have awesome trace minerals, just in different quantities. And we're also going to add in some cinnamon. Now, cinnamon, you want to make sure, or as much as you can, do try to buy cinnamon that is Ceylon cinnamon. So there's a couple different varieties. There's cassia cinnamon, I think there's Saigon cinnamon. and then Ceylon, which is Ceylon. This is sort of a healthier cinnamon, if you will, only because it doesn't have the other types, cassia, they can be a little bit toxic to the liver over time. So definitely do look for that Ceylon cinnamon. You can usually find it in health food stores if you're not getting it at your regular supermarket. And of course, it's really good for just, you know, if you're trying to balance your blood sugar levels. I believe we have a question. Yes, what is the question?
Yep, we have Lakin who says, wow, this looks so yummy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Lakin. I'm glad you think it looks yummy. It is actually very yummy. So, last thing that we are going to add in is actually flax seeds. And I wanted to talk about the flax seeds a little bit. So, flax seeds are really high in omega-3. And omega-3, as we know, is good for our brain, good for our heart health, memory, concentration, all those awesome things, very anti-inflammatory. But in order to actually release those oils and get the most out of those omega-3s, what you have to do is grind it down. So when you eat the whole flaxseed, you're not getting that much of the nutrients. You want to actually use a spice grinder, or I have a coffee grinder over here. I've never used this for coffee. I just use it for making fresh spices at home, and also for grinding down chia seeds or flax seeds. So you want to add that in there, which we're going to do right now. And that's going to help release those omega-3 oils and make sure you get that benefit. But of course, since omega-3s are actually pretty delicate and fragile in nature, they can oxidize really quickly. So that means they're sensitive to heat and light. So you want to do this in small portions at a time. Maybe you don't do like a whole bucket of flax and just leave it there on the counter. In small portions, maybe like quarter cup, couple of tablespoons as you need it. Leave it in the fridge in a cool, dark place. I believe we have another question. Yes?
Oren says, does it taste like regular bread?
So it may actually taste even better. So of course, I would compare this more to like a banana bread consistency. This isn't like your regular bread that you're gonna have like as toast in the morning, but more as like that little bit of sweetness banana bread that you can still put some butter on it, put some nut butter on it. It's great. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and grind this flaxseed right now. Bear with the noise for a second. Okay, I believe that's done, and you can actually smell it. You can smell the release of those fresh oils. I don't know if people on this side of the counter here who are working can as well, but it smells really, really good. So I don't know if the camera is getting this. This is what it looks like, and we just add it right in. And what I'm going to do actually at the same time, now that all of our ingredients are ready, I did want to talk about those substitutions for eggs as well. So this is for anyone who doesn't eat animal products or is just sensitive to eggs. What you can do is make a flax egg. So we're going to add in another tablespoon again of flax, and you're going to mix it with around 2.5 tablespoons of water. And what you do then is you just mix them together and you leave it aside for around 10 minutes. And you should see that it gelatinizes. It's sort of like this gooey jelly type of texture. And essentially it's trying to mimic the egg's texture when it comes to binding it in a recipe. So I'm just going to show you how to do that if anyone here is vegan and you don't want to use eggs. Okay, I'm going to grind again. Okay, so we're just going to add this to a separate little bowl over here. We have our flax meal. We're going to take some water. I'm actually just going to grab some tablespoons. You know what? We're just going to use this. I'm going to use my glass of water. 2.5 tablespoons of some filtered water. And we're just going to mix that up a little bit. I don't know if you guys are catching this. It's not that hard, but you can just sort of leave that at the side and add that in instead of the eggs if you wanted. We can come back to this at the end again and you can see how it's gelatinized. Okay, so we have our dry ingredients. Now we had to give have to get, our wet ingredients, and we're just gonna mix the two. So usually it is best practice to try and add the dry ingredients to the wet ones. So we're just gonna do that over here. Hi, we have another question, yes.
All right, so we have a couple of questions.
Okay, amazing.
The first from Priyanka is,
Hi,
do chia
Priyanka.
seeds need to be grinded too?
Ah, that's a great question. Okay, so only when you're making a chia egg. So yeah, if you're making a chia egg as an egg replacement, definitely grind the chia seeds. You're gonna get a much better result. But otherwise, if you're making a chia pudding or just eating them regularly, adding them into anything, no, they don't need to be grinded down. But flax seeds, yes, flax seeds, no matter what, need to be grinded down. Okay, next question.
And then Emma says, can we use honey instead of maple syrup? What other alternatives would you suggest?
So yeah, I actually would say honey, raw honey would be a good one to add in instead of that maple syrup. It's similar in terms of sort of its sweetness profile. So can definitely add that in. If you wanted, you could probably, and I'm not sure of the exact substitution with this, you could probably just add in a bit more banana as well. So yeah, I think you can do that. Okay, any other questions right now? Okay, great. So there we go, we've mixed it. It doesn't need to be like super smooth down, just generally mixed together. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our loaf pan. And this is a trick I learned recently. Maybe you guys already knew this, but I was just not good at this, is when you are lining something with parchment paper, especially a loaf pan, what I used to do was just take the whole parchment paper and just try to stuff it in, and then you notice that like the corners are uneven and your bread's coming out a little bit wonky. I learned this hack on YouTube where you cut two parchment paper pieces. You line one this way and you line the other one that way, and therefore it makes your life much easier. So the first thing we're gonna do though, before we even do that, we are going to just have a little bit of avocado oil here I'm using, or you can use coconut oil, whatever oil you want, just to grease a little bit. So you're gonna grease away. Okay, just doing that, that's gonna help smooth it down. So you're gonna cut this strip to the width of this. Ours is not exact, but that is okay. It will, actually, that's actually perfect. There we go. See how that sticks down so nicely? Now you're gonna take your brush again and just line some oil on top over there, and then stick this piece of parchment paper the other way. And again, guys, try to use parchment paper, not aluminum foil if possible, just because, you know, as new research is coming out with aluminum oil and its links to potentially dementia and those kind of things, you want to be a bit more careful and a bit more cautious, right? And now again, you're just gonna take another brush stroke of olive, and then it's done. Okay, cool. Now all you have to do is put this into the pan, and I started the oven at around 350 degrees, and yeah, this will have to bake for around an hour. I'm just gonna mix that in a bit better. This will have to bake for around 1 hour, guys. You will know when it is done, as usual, if you just stick a toothpick in it or a knife. If you don't have a toothpick, make sure it comes out clean. And you know what? Your house is gonna smell so good. It's gonna smell amazing. It's gonna feel like it's ready at like 40 seconds potentially, not 40 seconds, sorry, 40 minutes potentially, and you're gonna be like, oh my God, this is ready and I wanna have it right now. And it may look done from the top, it may look browned, but nope. You don't wanna open it because the zucchini and banana makes it a little bit more wet, so you definitely do wanna wait for the full 1 hour mark and not get too eager. Because it's just gonna be a bit of a gooey mess inside, and we don't like gooey messes. So, okay, there we go. Smoothed it down, and that is it. And now I'm gonna put this away in the oven, and of course, because this is TV, I have already baked another bread, and I'm just gonna bring that out and show you what the final product looks like. But in the meantime, we have a question. I see you, Marianne. What's up?
Tina wants to know, can the banana be substituted with applesauce?
I believe it can. I'm not 100% sure. I can check back on that, honestly, and get back to you. I think in terms of the sweetness profile, yes. but the banana may have a little bit more fiber in it, so you may have to add in another sort of like bulking kind of agent to balance it out. But I can look into that and get back to you. Awesome. Okay, I will bring out the finished product then, what we have in the meantime. So this is what I made last night and tried very hard not to eat because it smelled amazing. And what we're going to do now is just sort of bite into it and see and pass it around over here. So I hope I cut this properly. Okay. Ah, look at that. I don't know if you can get a close-up on this, but that's the consistency. It's banana bread consistency. It's super chewy. It's dense. A little bit of green in there, which, you know, definitely tells you you're eating something super healthy. And we can do something like this. We can spread on a little bit of almond butter, let's say, on this, right? So this would make an amazing just 3 p.m., 4 p.m. snack, breakfast in the morning if you're not super hungry. Yeah, so I'm gonna have a little bite of this right now. That is very good. And I should have thought about how sticky almond butter is on your teeth when you're on live TV, but that's okay. So this is really, really good. Thank you so, so much for tuning in, guys. And we will catch you next week. Are there any other questions in the meantime as I do this? Okay. Thank you so, so much, guys. We'll be back here live next week at 10 a.m. Bye.